But that's an example.
But
of
if you want to smoke cigarettes
contract.
outside,
Neil,
you can.
then let me.
And you can live on the beach unvaccinated. That's fine.
Neil, let me ask you this. So what state would you say was the most responsible during COVID?
Patrick Bet David brought Neil deGrasse Tyson onto his podcast. And let's just say things did not go well for Neil deGrasse Tyson. He tried throwing out his usual intellectual spin, but Patrick Bet David wasn't having it. This was a masterclass in calling out contradictions, exposing the nonsense, and making Neil deGrasse Tyson squirm. Let's get into it.
Let's do a hypothetical scenario. Hypothetics are, let's assume an actual cause and effect has been established in this case.
Sure.
Which it's not have to see the film to know. I don't know that there's a cause and effect other than a coincidence in time relative to other things that people might have been doing. By the way, alcohol consumption went up during COVID significantly. Okay, and alcohol is implicated in heart disease. So
depression, anxiety, people staying at home, kids,
opioid
addicts, addiction. Okay. So those staying at home wasn't the best decision either.
What I'm saying is, if after the vaccine is available, more people die of heart failure over a time where alcohol consumption went up, as did depression.
That could be an option.
That's right.
That's a very good point.
That's all I'm saying here. But let's give it to you that the vaccine caused this. Let's just say that. Okay?
Yeah.
And add it all up, and you got, what was it, 1,500 post-vaccine?
29 to 1,500.
29 deaths.
29 sports deaths, 1,500.
Thousands of deaths, let's
Yeah.
say. Okay? Let's say 10,000 even. Let's just do that. Okay. All right. You can estimate how many deaths the vaccine saved during COVID. Okay, because you can look at the death numbers drop off as people got vaccinated. It's in the tens of millions. Again, you can make a decision. Do I not want to die from COVID at this rate that occurred in this world? Or do I not want to die from this complication from the vaccine itself, the heart failure? So make your decision. And so you'll say, I might be in that 1,500, so I'm not going to take. Then you get COVID and die from COVID, right? So you just make the decision.
You know what I would say to that? Well, you know what I would say to that?
What would you say?
Here's what I would say to that. I would say, perfect. Let me take the risk. And thank you for giving it to me that way versus telling me it's one or the other, which is how it was presented. As long as you are informed fully about what the risks are. But like I said, as a species, we're not very good at thinking statistically about it. We're just not. And when we want to, we believe we're going to be the exception. And look at the people betting on lotteries. You know, they think they're going to win. But for me, like, you know, the moment they started saying you have to put on cigarettes, the risk of heart failure, cancer, this, that. And if you still want to smoke cigarettes, guess what? You got a risk if you smoke cigarettes. You may get lung cancer, right? Hey, if you eat this, if you do this, if you do that.
Yeah, we've denied your admission to the bar. There's a cost to that because it's a public health issue. And so, right, you are free to smoke the cigarette, but not in my establishment, by law.
Not in your establishment.
By law.
By law.
Correct.
No problem.
Right.
Totally fine.
But that's an example.
But if you want to smoke cigarettes outside,
Neil,
you can.
Then let me,
and you can live on the beach unvaccinated, that's fine.
Neil, let me ask you this. So,
all right, so here's the thing. Patrick Bet David is making a great point. If we're allowed to make informed decisions about other health risks, like smoking, drinking, whatever, why was there such a push to force one decision on everyone when it came to COVID? Like, come on, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you can't say people are bad at making decisions and then act like forcing compliance was the only way. Patrick Bet David is just calling out the inconsistency, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is scrambling to justify it.
So what state would you say was the most responsible during COVID?
State? I don't know. I never looked.
So if you're a stats guy. I have
no idea. Actually.
Okay, I'm a stats guy as well. I like stats, but I'm more financial. I'm not like, you know, but I understand what you're saying with
stats and finance.
I'm a baseball guy, so I like stats. Okay. I'm all about stats. I love baseball. So if we look at the stats, the media made Florida seem the most irresponsible state. That's what the media made it look. Okay,
we're in Florida right now. You guys do have kind of a bad reputation on a lot of stuff.
Okay, sure. So, and by the way, I've lived in California 24 years, 5 years in Texas, 2 years in Florida. Okay. Just so you know my background.
That's right. Okay.
10 years in Iran, 2 years in Germany. That's kind of my background. A couple years in the military. But if we say, hey, if we look at the data, the most irresponsible state was Florida. You would have heard many times news telling you that. When I go to California and I would say, I'm in Florida, I'm like, oh my God, you're in Florida. Oh my, it's horrible. But you know what I realize? Here's what I realized. If the state of Florida is so bad, why did the NBA during Black Lives Matter host the playoffs in Florida?
In the bubble.
If Florida
I thought they created a bubble for themselves.
But why did they come here? They could have done it in Texas. Texas got plenty of places they could do it in. Why did they do it here?
I don't know.
This is where Patrick Bet-David really exposes the hypocrisy. I mean, yeah, if Florida was supposedly this reckless, unsafe wasteland during COVID, why was everyone from the NBA to politicians flocking there? It's almost like, yeah, I don't know, the media was lying, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, instead of acknowledging the point, just goes, well, I don't judge safety like that. Yeah, okay, but maybe acknowledge the contradiction, and Patrick Bet-David is forcing him to confront reality, and Neil deGrasse Tyson cannot handle it.
But the point is, they felt safest.
I'm not going to use the NBA as a measure of what is
They also did the Super Bowl here.
A lot of the Super Bowl was here. I'll give you another one. Pro-vaccine AOC for vacation, she came to Miami. People from New York and California were partying for Miami. During COVID, when everybody was looking for a home during Christmas where to go to, you couldn't go to Colorado. You couldn't go to Lake Tahoe because it sucked. You had all these other choices. Everybody came to Florida.
I'm not going to judge the safety of a... I can't use that as a statistics of safety. I can't. I don't care who chooses where to vacation. I care what your death rates are, what your vaccination rates are, what your hospitalization rates are. That would be an objective measure from state to state. What state are you most likely to die in from COVID? That's a statistic I would pay attention to. What state has the least hospital beds to accommodate those who are sick from COVID, even if they're not going to die from COVID? I would want to know that. I'm not going to base a decision on whether the NBA chose to put their bubble in the state.
Well, statistically, New York and California does not look good. Statistically, New York and California, and they're supposed to be the most responsible ones.
So, yeah, this was a complete disaster for Neil deGrasse Tyson. Patrick Bet-David kept hitting him with logic, and Neil deGrasse Tyson just flailed around trying to avoid admitting the truth. The guy came in thinking he could just throw some numbers around and win the debate, but Patrick Bet-David wasn't playing that game. At the end of the day, this was just another case of the so-called experts getting exposed. And honestly, it was glorious to watch. So, yeah, what did you guys think about this debate between Patrick Bet-David and Neil deGrasse Tyson? I would love to hear your thoughts below. If you like this kind of stuff, be sure to check out some of my other videos. Thanks again for watching, and take care.